scholarships during that time we're looking to get was Commonwealth Share Scholarship in the UK. Those are the popular scholarships then that we were applying for, which I was planning to apply for too at that time. And so I sent an email just making inquiries at different universities, then very passionate, wanted to, further my education outside Nigeria, like most people on the call this morning as well. So I sent to UBC, which I got to know because one of my profs in FUTA did his sabbatical there, and he talked very highly of the school, and I got to know his, in forestry, it was top 3 university in the world as at that time, probably still now. So I was just making inquiries. This is who I am. What opportunities do you have for people who are intending to do their graduate study in your university in terms of funding? And I got an automatic responder that says, this. If you are an African, you can apply for the MasterCard Foundation Scholarship. Oh, I didn't even know there's a scholarship called MasterCard Foundation. And I investigated that afterwards. I was able to apply 2016, got accepted March 2017. And as they say, the rest is history. I will move forward now because I have 30 minutes for presentation, so I could give more time for people to ask their questions. I've also won the Vanier Canada Graduate Scholarship, which is the highest PhD scholarship for Canadian and international students in Canada. It's a $50,000 scholarship per year for 3 years for both Canadian and international students. I've also won other scholarships or funding. The IDRC, International Development Research Center Fellowship, funds my field work in Ghana. That's over 20,000 Canadian dollars that allows me to travel to Ghana to do research on the ground in Ghana as well. So when we talk about scholarship, what is the thing we should be looking out for? Where should I put this? Just to introduce you a bit to the post-secondary education landscape in Canada, there are several universities, and I want to believe most of the universities that I have their logos on the screen, you're probably heard of most of them, if not all. In applying to universities in Canada, one of the approaches I would recommend is targeting the top research universities, because these are the universities that have received huge percentage of the funding. And there is this group called the U15 Canada, which is a group of 15 universities, top research universities in Canada. And just to give you a perspective about how robust, how powerful these universities, 15 universities are combined. The research conducted by U15 universities is, conduct about $8.5 billion worth of research annually. They also have 80% of all contracted private sector research in Canada, and they have 81% of Canadian university patents. So these are the universities to be, and these are the universities that have the most funding. University of Alberta in Alberta, University of British Columbia in British Columbia, Dalhousie University in Nova Scotia, Queen's University in Ontario, University of Saskatchewan, University of Waterloo in Ontario. So Ontario has most of the universities, Western University, Ontario, Ottawa, Ontario. Montreal also has, Quebec has some of the universities as well, McGill University, Montreal, University de Montreal as well. And so these are the top universities in Canada in terms of the value of research they produce, in terms of the value of funding they get from government and private institutions. And so the researchers, professors in this university, as well as the university itself, is more well-positioned to receive more students. They're able to take more master's students, more PhD students. And so if you focus on these universities, these are where the money is. On the converse side of this is also, your strategy could also be, because people would focus more on these 15 universities. The strategy could also be focusing on, lesser known universities that are not highly rated. And because people might not focus on them, you might, be able to get into those universities more easily, because these universities have very high standard in terms of requirements, eligibility for admission into the schools. But never say never, it's not impossible. Just to give an idea of the top university in Canada, University of Toronto, total enrollment in the University of Toronto is about 100,000 students spread across their 3 campuses, and international students, they have almost 30,000 international students, 23,000 undergrads, and about 6,000 graduate students that are international students. And why I'm using U of T as an example is to show you that, the Canadian education system or the landscape thrives in many ways on international students, both those who come to study through self-funding, but also those who get Canadian government funding, university funding, funding from professors within those universities. So the room is very wide. It's wide open for everyone to come. If U of T is your school of choice, you could be part of those 30,000 international students that is studying in the school. And this also shows the capacity, I would say, of universities in Canada. U of T is an interesting case anyway, but for a university to have about 10,000 students, that is really, really huge. About 100,000 students rather, not 10,000, 100,000 students population at any given time. That is really huge. Also, I also wanted to emphasize that, Nigerians are moving to different countries to study these days. United States, United Kingdom, Australia, a lot of European countries, but Canada still remains one of the top countries or destinations for Nigerian students. And for instance, in 2023, Nigeria was one of the top 3 countries of origin for Canadian study permits. So those are those who were approved to come study in Canada in 2023, laying third only to India and China. And so you see that amongst the top 10 countries, Nigeria still remains one of the top 3 destinations for students coming to Canada. So having laid that foundation, and also what this shows is that we are starting to have a very vibrant Nigerian population across most of the major cities in Canada now. If you go to Alberta, for instance, Edmonton, Calgary, there's a huge population of Nigerians in those 2 cities, also in Ontario, Toronto, and just, most of the major cities, you were starting to find huge population of Nigerians. So we're happy to, welcome more Nigerians come study in Canada through scholarship, like I did in 2017. So still talking about my point here that says the room is wide enough for everyone to come in. And coming in through a funded program is one of the ways that I recommend that people fund their graduate study. So how do people fund their graduate school education? Mainly they are through 3 major pathways. Some people who are rich or capable might not be rich, but parents want a better life for their children. They could borrow or, get loans and things like that. So that's through the self-funding pathway, which I know those on this group today are not here for that. They're here for the point 2 and point 3. The second point is through scholarships from foundations, like the MasterCard Foundation, government, like the Canadian government, universities, like the 4-year doctoral fellowship at University of British Columbia. And also the third point would be teaching and research assistantship, which we would talk about more later. So major scholarships for international students in Canada, we have the MasterCard Scholars Program that has produced, I would have said, sponsored about 500 international students in Canada over the past 10 years, and they're still sponsoring more. We have the McBain Scholarship at McGill University, which sponsors both domestic and international students for undergraduate and master's degree at McGill University. And McGill is, depending on the ranking, could be second best university in Canada or third best university in Canada after U of T and UBC. For doctoral scholarship, the main scholarship would be the Vanier Canada Graduate Scholarship, which is also for both domestic students and for international students. And like I mentioned earlier, it's the top most scholarship for doctoral students in Canada. Also, there are scholarships that are based within different universities that are targeted towards bringing in talented international students for doctoral programs. For the purpose of this call, I'm making UBC for your doctoral fellowship in Canada a case study as well. There might be other scholarships that I have not mentioned yet, but these are the 4 ones that I'm focusing on today. And if you've heard about any other ones that you want to confirm their authenticity, you can also point that in the chat that, oh, I heard about this scholarship. Have you heard about it before? Things like that. And if I have, I would also mention that and share anything that I know about it. So just to make the session interactive, I will want to take a pause and just quickly ask, which of these scholarships have any of the people on the call heard about before? Or maybe let's make it this way. Which of the scholarships are you hearing about for the first time today? You never knew these scholarships existed. Please, can you, type that in the chat just to make sure that people are following, since I can't see the faces. Scholarship you're hearing about for the first time, MasterCard. Okay, that's good. Your mind is going to be blown away today when I share more about the MasterCard, because it's not just here in Canada, it's the UK, it's the US, it's in South Africa, it's in France, it's in other schools in Africa. So thank you. People have heard about MasterCard as well before. Some are hearing about it today for the first time. Okay. Thanks for the 4 or 5 people responded. I would move on now. Feel free to keep, putting your comments in the chat. Probably get back to them again. So yeah, I wanted to make the MasterCard Foundation Scholarship a case study for this particular talk. First, because that's the scholarship that I got for the first time, and indeed that's changed my life. I would say provided many opportunities for me. And even though the scholarship, our talk today is focused on Canada, I want to also stress that MasterCard Foundation Program, which is a global initiative by the MasterCard company, the credit card company, that's a foundation that they have or run, is a global program. The Scholars Program, they run a lot of programs in Africa and other places, but the Scholars Program is a global initiative designed to develop the next generation of transformative leaders by enabling highly talented, service-oriented young people, primarily young Africans, to pursue higher education and cultivate their leadership potential. And so this scholarship in many ways is geared towards promising young Africans, but who have financial challenges, who are not able to pursue their graduate education, or in some cases, undergraduate education based on parental support or any other means. And so the MasterCard Foundation comes in to help sponsor those students. And even though we're focusing more on graduate studies today, I also wanted to stress that MasterCard sponsors undergrads in many schools. In some of the schools also listed here, but also primarily in Africa. Access University in Ghana, MasterCard sponsors. Accra University of Uganda, MasterCard sponsors. I want to believe some of the South African universities, probably University of Pretoria, University of Western Cape, most likely. You can cross-check, just type Mastercard Foundation Scholars Program, and it will show you all the schools they currently have partnership with. And so they fund master's program in the UK, just like I mentioned. University of Edinburgh is one of those university. They now also fund University of Cambridge. I also believe they fund University of Oxford as well. These might be big names, but do not rule yourself out. Do not write yourself out. You can apply to these big schools, University of Cambridge, University of Oxford. They have Mastercard Foundation Scholars Program there, which is a scholarship. In the US, they have at Arizona State University, University of California, which other universities there? Stanford University now. And I think they used to have at Michigan, University of Michigan before, if I'm correct. But yeah, going to the website, you would find those universities they have partnership with. In Africa, they have with American University of Beirut in Lebanon. I don't know if it's a good time to go to Lebanon, but they have the partnership with American University of Beirut. And I know Nigerian who's graduated from the program sponsored by MasterCard in Lebanon. Carnegie Mellon University, Africa, it's a American university, but I have a campus in Rwanda, I believe, which is a top engineering university in the US, and they have a engineering focus program in Rwanda now, I believe, or South Africa, either of those two universities. But also in South Africa, they have University of Cape Town, University of Pretoria, University of Western Cape, and do they have graduates in Ashesi? Most likely in Ashesi University as well. And here in Canada, we have McGill University, University of British Columbia, University of Toronto. Those are some of the scholarships that are funded here as well. So if you want to apply for a MasterCard Foundation program, for most of the programs in Canada and probably in some of the other countries, they should be closed by now or getting close. But for the case study of UBC, University of British Columbia, the application has already closed. So this information you're getting now could be useful for you for applying in the 2026-2027 application year, which is next year. And so the application often opens around late August, thereabout. And so this information you're getting today would help prepare you for the next application. And like I mentioned that I didn't know about the scholarship before I stumbled into it. I got to know about it in late August, and the application was opening then, I think around October. And so I had some months to prepare, and sharing my story would help you to know if you are passionate about something, you'd make every effort to ensure that, you get it. And so those 3 months after my bachelor's program in FUTA, there was ASU strike, transcripts, and some other issues. But because over the years, I've meticulously collated my results, I go to the registry of the university to say, in the previous semester, can I get what result I have officially from the school? And then I've collated that over the years. And even though the school was closed, based on my collation of my results, I was able to use that as my unofficial transcript until I could get my official transcript. So this is to tell those who are currently in school, you should try to get your official document to collate it so that if there are strikes and other things, that would not delay your applications, your flights from your home country to Canada. In this case, I'm using UBC as a case study. In some cases, they even obtain your passport for you. They pay you to get your passport. And sometimes if you already have your passport, they still pay you for the passport you already got, which I think was the case in my own case as well. They offer you accommodation throughout your program at the university here. They give you stipends for living expenses. They give you health insurance. They give you career services and support. They give you new computers. And so, yeah, they just want you to focus on your education. They provide you all the support you need. You also have access to a global Mastercard Foundation alumni network, which will be in the thousands now. and also access to, representing your university at the annual global, what I would call gathering of MasterCard's foundations scholars across the globe, which often happens in Rwanda. I know they've been doing it online in some cases now, but I was privileged to represent my school, UBC, at the global gathering in Rwanda in 2019. And so those are some of the support and access that being a MasterCard Foundation scholar provides for you. It's simply mind-blowing. I don't know how to explain it, but it's a lot of support that you get during the program. And during my time, I was the first research-based master student to be sponsored by the MasterCard at UBC. And so during my program, the Masters in Forestry that I did, I would say MasterCard spent over $100,000 for my school, which involves all these things that I mentioned here: flights, tuition, stipends, accommodation, and things like that. The MasterCard has changed in different universities. The focus in terms of the programs they fund have changed because the model the MasterCard uses is often they have a 10-year partnership with a university. For instance, this 2025-26 application is the new partnership. They had a partnership, I think, 2013 through 2023, 10-year partnership, which ended, and then they are starting this new one. In the previous partnership, they were sponsoring not just forestry, they did forestry then, they did agriculture, water and land management, they did MBA then, Master of Business Admin. They did a lot of education programs then, Master of Leadership in Education, and several other leadership, other education programs. But now in this new partnership, I want to believe it's another 10-year partnership, they're focusing on these areas: forestry, agriculture, water and land management, and data science, just to know that. Let me move quickly. Yeah, so this is it. These are the faculties and programs they are currently funding at UBC. And on the right, you have sort of the selection process. What are the things they're looking for? They're looking for quality of your application, your track record as a transformative leader. They're looking at academic merit, and people will ask, do I need to be a first class to get a MasterCard? No, you can be a second class second class upper. Yeah, that's what they call it. Second class upper, call it 2-1, and you can still get the scholarship because it combines not just your academic merit, but also your track record as a leader. If you volunteered in, different programs, maybe during your LYC, during your time in your school, you were the class rep, you were president of a fellowship, you were president of a Muslim Student Association, captain of a football club. All those things are considered leadership. And depending on how you package them in your application, you can present them as evidence of your transformative leadership track record. Also, they want to see that you have, financial barriers to your education. They also want to see that you are committed to making impact in your home country, development impact in your home country. And so those are some of the things the scholarship wants you to provide. I'm also sharing these 5 questions because here, I don't know if the cursor is also showing on your end. Some of the application requirement talks about submit. Number 2 talks about submit the personal statements. Essay format is not acceptable. So, so oftentimes you just write 2 pages and that's your personal statement. But in this case, they have questions that they've asked. If you go to the website, you can find these questions again. Even though I wasn't applying and I didn't know I was going to give this talk, because I was, supporting some people, I went to the platform as though I wanted to apply to see what questions they're asking, which seems to be almost similar to the ones I was asked in 2016 when I was applying. But these are the questions that were being asked. So just to read one of those, and I know this is being recorded, will be put on the YouTube. So if you want to go back to begin to prepare how to answer this 5 questions in anticipation for next application cycle, to write, you begin to refine, ask people to give comments, For instance, if you don't, let me read the second question. We believe that transformative leaders are those who are committed to building their communities, not just individual talent alone. Describe your recent meaningful involvement in your community including what your role is or has been in the activities. If you were selected to the Mastercard Foundation Scholars Program, what qualities would you bring to our community? So they said this must be 200 to 300 words. So you must be really concise, straight to the point. This is a meaningful involvement in my community. As the CDS coordinator for SDG Group, we went to Mokola roundabout and we cleaned up the roundabout for over 6 months. We were going there every week to clean up the Mokola roundabout. We're a group of 15 youth corps members who were committed to doing this on our own free time. And during the time that we organized this, we were able to clean 15 trashes of bags that we went to throw at the incinerator, something like that. I'm just making this up to show it could be something as, trivial as that, but depending on how you present it. Due to the efforts to clean up the Mokola roundabout, the market women and roadside vendors have now said the area is more conducive for them. Things like that. Things you have done, you find ways to make it make sense to people who might not have been in those areas before or might have been. You never know the person reviewing your application. But you make them understand this is what we did. This was my role. I was the one who, came up with the idea that this was what we should do. I was the one reminding these 15 members every week the time we should go. They ask about what is your role. I was the one who purchased the 15 garbage bags that we used. I was the one who sourced for funds from XYZ NGO to buy the bags. No, those are your roles. What did you do in this activity? And what was the impact? So the next part of the question says, if you are selected, what qualities did you bring? What qualities did you use as the leader facilitating this cleanup of Mokola roundabout in Ibadan? Then you can say, taking initiative. I took initiative. No one said I should go and clean the roundabout, but I felt, I pass through this place daily to go for my CDS or whatever, and I feel it can help with this roundabout. So that's taking initiative. You bring that to the community of Mastercard scholars. Leadership, that's a quality. Having mutual collegial relationship with other people. You are a corper, you didn't say it's only me, but you found other 14 corpers to join you. That's, having interpersonal relationship with other people. You don't just say, I'm the only island, it's only me. You don't relate with other people. So I just sort of presented a basic, let me call it a basic idea of how someone might want to answer that question too. But it doesn't have to be like that. Whatever you are doing, you find a way to polish it and refine it. So let's move quickly. The other one would be the McBain Scholars Program. It's a program that focuses both on Canadian and international students at McGill University. They fund 20 Canadian students, but 10 international students, and it's also the deadline is passed for this year, so you probably have to prepare towards next year. And also, like I said, even though I wasn't applying, I also went into the platform to see what questions are they asking, what things are they asking people to provide. And so this is typical application, what you are asked. You have to provide your family details, education, awards, languages, interests, activities, original work, employment, references, endorsements. So for this, you need to get an endorsement from your university back in Nigeria. So one way or the other, you need to find a way to connect with your head of department, to maybe your registrar, vice chancellor, to write a letter that they endorse you to represent your school in this scholarship. And it's a very, very, I would say, similar scholarship to the MasterCard. They're providing people with, full funding, development, leadership development programs, mentorship, and in addition to the 10 fully funded, they're also funding another 20 finalists or even more now, because this was gotten for 2023 year. But I think they are funding more people. So if you don't meet up to the 10 that they are going to fund, another 20 that gets to the final stage will be supported with $20,000 each for their program. And so that's that about Malcolm McBain. And just like I mentioned, which I will still talk about later, the requirement for most scholarship are very similar. They just move things around, which I will talk about very soon. Maybe I should stop to see what's happening in the chat. Okay, we'll come to questions, but it's good to know people asking questions. The Vanier Canada Graduate Scholarship is the highest funding for Canadian or international doctoral students, valued at $50,000 per year, up to 3 years in Canada. Every year, 166 Vanier scholars are awarded each year, and they're divided into 3 granting agencies. So those who are in engineering have an agency that administer this scholarship or funding to 55 people. Those who are in social sciences, which is where my research is based. Those who are in health sciences, they also have their own granting agency that gives this funding to these 55 awardees. So the Vanier CGES program considers 3 equally weighted selection criteria. They look at academic excellence. They look at your research potential, because you are going to submit a proposed research that this is what I plan to do when I get this scholarship. But one good thing about the Vanier scholarship is they don't police you to say, oh, when you applied, we have given you the scholarship, you must do what you said. So they know that research is, always evolving. You can say, I want to discover the first cockroach in the world. But when you start your program in your first year, discover that, oh, maybe discovering the first cockroach in the world might not be what is important. I need to discover the first rabbit. And so you change to that. And so the scholarship will not say, oh, you are not doing cockroach again, we are going to take away your funding. No. As long as whatever you are going to do, your research is going to make impact, they're happy with it. But first, you need to present something that they can buy, something that they think, oh, this guy, this lady has something to offer. Let us fund them. And also leadership, which I've also mentioned before, similar to MasterCard. In what areas have you been a leader? It could be in church, it could be in mosque, it could be in football group, whatever. Those also come to play here. One unique thing about it is you are nominated by a Canadian university. You cannot just, before now, I think people apply directly to the granting agencies, but in recent time, you applied through the university. So in my case, I applied twice before I could get this. So different universities have what they call their own competition timeline. For instance, I'm a student in the Faculty of Forestry. Faculty of Forestry at UBC has 3 departments. So every student within those 3 departments who wants to apply will apply to the faculty. The faculty will decide, okay, 20 people applied. The university would have given each faculty a quota to say, send 5 of your best applicants to compete at the university level. So Faculty of Forestry will send 5 of their best from that 20. Faculty of Science will send their own best 5 or whatever quota the university has given them. Faculty of Arts and other faculties at UBC will send their own best applicants. And then the university will also sit again. And at this level, if you qualify for the best in your faculty, the faculty will notify you that, oh, you have now moved to the university stage. So at the university stage, they will also do, and then maybe the granting agency have told them that you can only send, I don't know how much they send, but let's say 5 from your university. So the university will decide, out of all these students from all the different faculties, these are the 5 best that we think if they compete with other universities, they're going to get it. And so your university will send those 5 names to compete with other universities in Canada that have this Vanier program, not all the universities. So it will most likely be those 15 universities I mentioned earlier. They will also send their 3, 5, or whatever amounts that their quota is to send. And then at that level, so you are competing with other PhD students in other universities across Canada. And then they would select 166 scholars. It's a very interesting process. It's a very prestigious scholarship as well, I would say. Something to consider for a PhD. As I begin to round up quickly, I just wanted to, give some idea about what documents are needed for scholarships, because oftentimes some people get opportunities and then they don't have passport and then begin to run here and there, or they don't have English language test result or things like that. So different scholarships ask for different things. For instance, some scholarships or funding in the UK, you need to have your passport before you can apply. I think Commonwealth Share Scholarship, Sheridan Scholarship, you need to have a passport because that's like one of the IDs that you need. So getting your international passport is important. I did get mine during my NYC in Oyo State, even though I was probably a poor copper in Oyo State. I tasked big brothers, big sister, parents, uncle. I gathered the money then, and I was able to get the passport, which took a long time. And it came in handy before I got the MasterCard scholarship. So if you are serving or if you are done with service, you might think, oh, I'm not traveling. Why do I need a passport? You never know. So it's important now to get it. I know seems the administration in Nigeria is making the passport process easier and faster, so that's good. But during my time, it was a tug of war to be able to get a passport as I went due. So that's why if you can now, even though you don't think you need it immediately, just have it. Because when you need it, then the passport might not be available readily from the immigration folks. So you need your transcripts, unofficial transcript or official transcript, either one. I would advise get an unofficial transcript because you can use that to apply to many schools. When they offer you admission, they can then request for your official transcript. So it's important you have an unofficial transcript that you can use to apply in multiple places, your CV, statement of purpose. For some schools or scholarship that request for English tests, you can also provide those. I deliberately try to avoid schools that ask for that because I don't have money to do English tests when I was doing my service. So that could also be your strategy. I'd also try to avoid schools asking for application fee, or at least they should have a fee waiver. For the MasterCard at UBC, if you're applying, if you get through the first stage, well, I didn't mention that there are stages in the application as well. But if you get through the first stage and it's time for you to apply to the school, they would waive your application fee for you. Before now, Nigeria used to be a part of the countries that you don't need application fee for UBC, where it seems Nigeria has become a rich country. They have removed our name from that group of countries that don't need to pay application fee. But if you apply through MasterCard, you would get a fee waiver, not to pay the fee. Recommendation letters are always advised. Even though you've graduated from a school, please continue to keep in touch with your former professors, project supervisor, lecturers in your department, at least 2 or 3 people that can be on standby that if you call them, sir, ma, I'm applying to UBC MasterCard. Can you write a recommendation letter for me? They will say, oh, why not? We will write it. So it's good to build that rapport and not just reach out to them only when you want to get their references. So it's, greeting them during Christmas, greeting them during their other festivals to show that you are staying in touch with them. For other programs, there might be GRE needed, which I did not also do. Research proposal might be needed for some. If you're applying for a Vania, for instance, others might be proof of volunteering leadership. The last category of funding for graduate school would be securing teaching and research assistantship, which this is even forms the bulk part of funding for graduate education. I think most people might not know, they might be focusing on MasterCard and other big names, McCall, McBain Scholarship. But the most ones, especially in the US or also in Canada, is through securing teaching and research assistantship. So what does teaching and research assistantship mean? Professors receive funding either from their university, from the government, from private foundations, and then they need students to do the research for them. For instance, if a professor receives a $2 million funding, he cannot single-handedly do a research that will spend that 2 million. So the professor would recruit 2 master students, 2 PhD students, 2 postdocs, you understand? And so they need students to do the research because students do this research. And so this is one of the approaches that you can use, which is and a lot of students have used this approach, looking for professors who have funding and are recruiting students. And you can ask, how do I even know the professors know recruiting students? You can know. How do you know? First is by making initial approach to the professor by yourself. So I'm a student in forestry. I know that UBC is a good forestry school. I go to their website, I'm interested in politics or forestry, for instance. Then I go to their website and see which of their researchers or professors are doing research in politics or forestry or something related. Then you always find their email there. Then I write to them, Professor Lagbaja, I am this so person from Nigeria, did my bachelor's in forestry, blah, blah, blah. I want to do my master's. I'm wondering if you'll be able to supervise my master's and if you have funding for students. So this is the initial approach made by student system, which also has helped a lot of students. You know, sometimes a professor might have funding, but not put it on their website or has displayed it in any other platform. And so you reaching out to that professor and the professor has funding, you become the first consideration for that funding. Or even the professor just received a funding, is still trying to post it on the school website and stuff, but you already approached him, even though you don't know he has the funding. And then you become the first in line to get that funding. So this approach is very, very important. You need to try to find, okay, I want to go to a school in Toronto. What schools are there? These are the 5 schools. What program do I want? These are the 5 programs. What professors are doing the things I want to do? Then reach out to them yourself, even though you know they have funding or they don't have funding. In this case, you know, people might be frustrated. Some professors will answer, some will not answer. Professors receive lots of emails every day from prospective students wanting to do master's or PhD with them. So if they don't answer, you can give them 1 or 2 weeks and send them a mail again to say, it's me again, Sophia. I wrote an email to you 2 weeks ago, just checking in if you got my email and if you have a response from me. Just like I mentioned earlier, I was the first master's in research student at UBC, sponsored by MasterCard. And I had to contact 10 professors before I could get 2 to supervise my master's. And I did not just send the email to the 10 professors at once, no. I would contact 1 or 2, wait for some time, then email them again, no response, look for their office phone number, call their office line. Then in 2016, staying up late at night, calling Vancouver, Canada, their office machine will pick it. And then I quickly say, I am so. I send you email. Are you a recruiting student? That's when some of them will just send 1 line back, not taking students. But some will even recommend, oh, I'm not taking students, contact Professor Lagbaja too, who might be recruiting students. So that shows the enthusiasm, you know, and in this email, you attach your CV, attach your transcript, unofficial transcript. If you already have some research idea in mind, you can also attach something in that respect. So that's one approach. The other one is professors are always actively recruiting students for funded projects. They're advertising through their university channels, they're advertising through their own personal social media account. So I'm not sure how many professors are on TikTok, but the platforms that I know professors have been sharing would be LinkedIn, Twitter, maybe on Facebook as well, I believe. But these are some of the recent professors that have advertised opportunities. So the first one, the University of Montreal, just like I mentioned, is one of the U15 universities. this is a program itself putting out a call to say we are recruiting students. Join Joanne Laos team. Is looking for a master's or PhD student to lead a research project aimed at optimizing the transformation of organic matter during on-site composting. So this is a professor putting out a call to say, I want master student to start in January 2024. This is an old one. But also went to Twitter, the two ones, Dr. David Adelani, who is Nigerian, as you can see from his Twitter account, is recruiting masters and PhD students to study computer science at McGill University. And the deadline is December 1. So I think he's into multilingual natural language processing. And so this is a professor saying, I'm recruiting students. Those who are interested should reach out. Also, Dr. Chen at U of Alberta is recruiting students, masters and PhD to join their LLM-based programming support and human-centered synthesis framework. So if you are not on this platform, if you want to get there, there's a way you can follow people that share all these opportunities. Also on the right is LinkedIn, Professor Saleh of University of Manitoba. They are looking for PhD student and master student in computer science as well at University of Manitoba. So if you're on this platform, you can always be searching, typing some keyword to say master student recruitment in Canada on LinkedIn or on Twitter and see what comes up. And you can then approach the student, the professors who are already said they have funding. So this is not, you are not shooting the first approach, initial approach made by students is called cold emailing. They're just shooting the stars to see if something would work. But the second one, the professor already said, I have funding and I'm recruiting students. So you just have to, provide the necessary things that they said. Professor Salim, for instance, said, contact me with a CV and your transcript and a motivation letter. So she has even provided what you need to send to them. And they provided their email as well. So that's the second approach. And the bulk of funding doesn't come from masters or PhD programs sponsored by MasterCard, Vania or something. This is where individual professors recruiting students, that's where the bulk of masters and PhD students get their PhD admission from. Tips to getting a scholarship: obtain necessary information from the scholarship website or schools. Be sure of the requirements, the deadline as well. Obtain necessary information from past scholars and current recipients. Most of the scholars would be happy to help as much as possible if they don't already are occupied with other people. So you find them on LinkedIn most of the time. People will put MasterCard Scholar 2020, MasterCard Scholar 2017, or something like that. So through that, you can approach them and say, can you share your experience? Can you help review some applications if they can? The third one is prepare the required documents ahead and send it to the past scholars or any other eligible person for evaluation, comments, and suggestion before final submission. Don't look at your application yourself and give yourself thumbs up and say, this is the best application. Nobody sees this and will say no. No, share with other people. There are some things you are not seeing because you have been focused on it and reading it over and over again. You think there is no typo. Or you send it to a friend who is knowledgeable and they will say, oh, did you consider this? Did you consider that? So it's important to prepare way ahead so that you can share with people. For instance, my Vanian scholarship, share with several people, give feedback. Rewrite it again, share with other people. The fourth point would be submit your application at least 2 days before the deadline. For different scholarships, sometimes if there are a lot of people applying, over 1,000 people applying, sometimes the platform might crash at the final days when everybody wants to submit. So if you submit at least 2 days before the deadline, you can prevent that. How is scholarship evaluated? These are some of the things that have come up in the other scholarship that I talked about: academic excellence, first class, second class upper, sometimes second class lower as well. Leadership skills and volunteering, and doesn't have to be something grand. Don't have to say you are the CEO of a company. Being a class rep, you show leadership. Class rep in a class of 50 people, captain of a team of a football and other places, volunteering as well with an NGO. Those services or skills come into play here. Your previous research work or research experience also comes in. Financial needs, cultural diversities, technical skills that you might have, all these come into play. And just to emphasize that not all scholarship ask for this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 criteria. Some might just ask for academic excellence and financial need alone. They want someone who is brilliant but cannot sponsor themselves, which oftentimes that's what MasterCard does. MasterCard is looking for academic excellence, leadership skill, and financial need. Those are the three things they are looking for. And so how can you position yourself to meet those criteria? Where to find scholarship, I already mentioned that. Google, you don't have to wait for a webinar like this to happen. You are interested in doing your master's in public admin, go on Google, public admin master's funding scholarship in Canada, and see what comes up. And then you can begin to investigate further and see what's available. There's tons of scholarship websites these days. Scholarship Cafe, which is run by Dr. Igbala Jobi here in Canada. Scholarship Position, After School Africa, Opportunities for Africans, just a lot. Social media platforms such as LinkedIn, Twitter, WhatsApp, just like Career Driver have its own WhatsApp where they share information. There are several other groups who have WhatsApp sharing information. Today, people there's almost no scholarship we are looking for that someone has not already done a YouTube explainer about it. Almost all the scholarship recipients today have become YouTubers. Or maybe only myself, I'm the only one remaining. Maybe after this program, I will start my own YouTube as well. So what I'm trying to say in essence is
we can actually start from now. So
so all these scholars now have YouTube. People have won MasterCard, people have won Vania, people have won Chevney. They have their YouTube now telling you how they won it, what they did. They have even brought their friends who have won it and sharing their experience. So in addition to checking funny videos on YouTube Shorts, you can also type MasterCard Scholar UBC or McGill or Toronto or whichever school you want to see and see what people have said about the scholarship, the tips they are giving, what has worked for Mr. A, what has worked for Mrs. B. Then you combine those together and see where you fit in and use it for your own scholarship. Online resources, people that I've interacted with through my use of Twitter. I know the Career Drive Academy, YouTube will also be on this because they've been talking to several scholars who have shared their knowledge about scholarship in different countries. But these are people, some of them I know personally, like Dr. Bala Jobi, who is the founder of Scholarship Cafe. And some people I have only met through Twitter, like Sunday Okafor, Dr. Sunday Okafor, Scholars Pivot at Adiola. All these people have, Scholars Pivot, Adiola was a former MasterCard scholar at UBC as well, and he's invited tons and tons of scholarship awardees or winners from almost all the scholarships that you can think anyone has won in the world, and all these other people as well. Professor Rita Oji at Dalhousie University as well. You can also watch, he's a Nigerian, you can watch his YouTube. Professor Ann Amuta in the US as well, as a Nigerian professor in the US. And all these people have, just like I said, everyone now have their YouTube channel, they have given tips. So just to say that there's a lot of resources, no excuse. And the scholarship landscape today has become really, really competitive compared to 2016. Definitely still competitive. We did not get a scholarship on a platter of gold, but things have, because between 2016 and now, just like I was saying, that there's a lot more information out there, more scholarship websites, more scholarship YouTube channels. People are now aware of those scholarships. And so more people apply for scholarships and the landscape has become more competitive. So you need to find ways to build your profile, plan ahead. For instance, you're learning about MasterCard today. That doesn't mean you need to apply next year. You can give yourself a roadmap. Okay, I don't have volunteer experience for now. Which organization can I volunteer with within the next 2 years? Give my best to the organization while also building my own profile. And then I can plan to apply for the data science program in the next 2 years. Or it's the McCall, McBain, and McGill, and any other scholarship you find. So it's all about planning, I would say, as a roundup, planning, get the information out there, see where do I fit in, and then planning to apply. Like I also said in the beginning, don't rule yourself out to say, oh, I did my bachelor's at, I don't want to demean any school now, but maybe I should use FUTA so that I'm a FUTA alumni myself. I did my master's, bachelor's in FUTA. I can apply to Oxford, for instance, because, oh, Oxford, the top university in the UK or in the world. No, there are people going there. They don't have to it, right? So prepare your application, shoot for Oxford University, and you never know. Things might fall in place. At least we have Oxford alumni on the call today. Mr. Awi is an Oxford alumni, also through scholarships. So scholarships indeed is a good thing to have because it relieves you of the stress. It gives you some credibility as a scholar, or as somebody that is worth funding or supporting in many ways. And lastly, as I round up, because I know you have questions, is the place of God is important. I don't know if you believe in God or not, but I believe in God. And I also know the place of grace. I do my best, putting all my effort into whatever application I'm applying for, but I also pray because I know there are people who are first class like myself. I know people from FUTA who are first class. They have applied for several scholarships. I have not gotten any. So it's not that I'm better than them. Even some of these people had better CGPA than myself, even though I say at the first class, but I had 4.51 out of 5. There are people who had 4.8 and etc. So the place of God, as you're applying, you're praying for God's favor, and all those things are very, very important. Thank you very much. I would be happy to answer questions now. Over to you, our moderator.
Thank you so very much, sir. Thank you so very much, sir. This was really an insightful session from you. As usual, now we're going to show appreciation. Oh, yeah. Claps in the chat session. He has shared a lot, and I'm sure that people are still online. So please show your appreciation to our speaker, Mr. Samuel Adeyanju. Please show your thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing. I'm sure you've been able to take some questions from the comment session, sir.
Yes, I can do that then. Let me scroll up.
Yes, I know that you took some questions from the comment session.
Yeah.
So do we have anyone that has a question? So I'm going to give one or two persons an opportunity to directly ask him. So do we have anyone that has a question for
my sister,
Mr.
do you want me to answer a few in the chat to start with? I'm scrolling now.
That's fine because so we have about a few minutes for that because I know that you answered some questions. I'm not seeing any more questions in my chat here.
Yeah, so
but
I have a question on MasterCard Foundation. Do I have to apply to there's one from Isaac Israel that says, do I have to apply to the school sponsored by MasterCard before I'm eligible for the scholarship? I think the way I will answer that question is MasterCard Foundation itself, the foundation that gives the university the money, has nothing to do with how the different universities run the admission process. So UBC MasterCard would determine how they want to run their program. So you apply to UBC. You don't apply to MasterCard Foundation headquarters based in Ontario. So you apply to UBC MasterCard at UBC. You apply to McGill MasterCard at McGill University. You apply to MasterCard Toronto U of T. So they are different entities on their own. So it's not like there is a central portal where you are just apply to MasterCard Foundation and then they put you in different schools. Don't know if that answers the question. And like I mentioned, different schools have their own application process, I believe, but in a way, it's somewhat consistent in terms of first, there's this application call out time in, let's say, late August, some in October, that says we are recruiting students for the MasterCard program. Everybody apply, let's say 1,000. You apply to the MasterCard program, and then they decide, okay, we have, I don't know how many they decide, 50 or so. Then they write to you to say you cannot apply to the university, which I saw a question that someone said they applied to McGill MasterCard and they're asking if they've started to get back to people. I don't know about McGill, but I know MasterCard UBC has gotten back to people who qualify for the second stage. So they have been told to apply to UBC. I know that someone I was working with informed me about that. So if you applied for MasterCard UBC at that general stage, they've now told the people that move to the next stage, which is when you apply to the university. So what happens is when you apply to the university at this second stage, when the university offers you an admission, the MasterCard would stand up to say, we are going to cover your tuition and every other thing. That's how it works. So you first pass through the general one when you apply to MasterCard. They inform you, you have moved to the next stage, and then you move. When you get admission offered by the university, MasterCard funds it. But I know universities in South Africa does it differently. At least University of Cape Town, for instance, you first apply to the university, you get admission, and then you apply to MasterCard. I think that's how the South African universities MasterCard does this. But I will stop at that. My question is this: I did my research, Sophia Emmanuel now. I did my research on school that accept HND for master, but so unfortunately I couldn't get one. The ones I'm seeing are requesting I either do a diploma for 2 years or I run a BSc. So what's the question? Let's move on. Please, I want to ask if the MasterCard Foundation has age limit. I don't think so. There have been a lot of people who have children. I don't necessarily know their age, but I would think 35, 40. It doesn't have an age limit as long as, or maybe not 50, but as long as you have somebody to offer, yeah, I believe you would definitely qualify. There's no age limit as far as I can remember. Yeah, I already answered Benga law. I know UBC has already gotten back to people moving to the next stage, but I'm not sure of Miguel. Can someone apply for multiple scholarship programs at the same time, sir? Yes. Suliat Ibrahim asks, can you apply for multiple? Like I said, I applied for MasterCard at Edinburgh University, MasterCard at UBC. And in some of the applications, they will ask you, have you applied to another university or another MasterCard program? And you can say yes. That doesn't impact on their assessment of you. So you can apply as much as possible. Different people have different idea about how many scholarship people should apply for. I'm of the opinion that quality is better than quantity. I know people who said I've applied to 100 scholarships. I have not applied to 100 scholarships. Or during my own time, I applied to just 2, and I got 1 out of the 2. And I believe quality is important. So if you're applying for 5, you pour your soul, your heart into it. Make sure the application package you are submitting is up to date, is well polished. You've gotten feedback from people. The content is solid, and yeah, you have done your best, and then you submit it and pray for God's grace and things like that. But if you also want to apply for 20 and so, I think it's okay. Over to you, Ma. These are all the questions on the platform.
Thank you. You've been an amazing, amazing, amazing speaker. So please, do we have any other person that has questions? I'd like to have 1 or 2 people directly ask Mr. Adeyanju questions. Are we all covered? All our questions are answered?
It seems so. People are now already, preparing the application. They are geared up, ready to submit next year.
I'm telling you, sir. And I love how much you focused on the fact that it is via impact, doing something impactful that really opens up these opportunities for you. Because, the usual issue that a lot of people have is just to apply and forget that they also have to focus on their works. The kind of impact that they have on the society is what would make such opportunities become, make give you a better chance of getting such opportunities, not just applying and applying. So I love the fact that you emphasized on the fact that it is based on works. Most of these scholarship programs or grants that you can get, it is based on the kind of works that you do as a person that would give you better opportunities and better chances of getting these scholarships on you. So if nobody has any question, I believe you've done a very comprehensive expose on your journey into schooling in Canada, and we
Yes.
really, really appreciate you as a person. But let's go a bit people oriented now. Let's ask, how is the apart from the scholarship programs that you're going for, how is the environment in terms of social interactions, the people?
I think you cut off a bit,
Being
but
able to mingle and network, your social interactions. Can we talk a bit about that too?
Of course, yeah. I've been living in Canada for over 7 years, mostly in Vancouver. That's the British Columbia. It's let's say, short description of the province says the most beautiful place on earth, and I think indeed it is. It's a beautiful country. I've traveled to some other provinces as well in the country. The people are friendly, I would say. They have the Canadian smile, as we used to call it here. Yeah, there's a lot of opportunities around there, those in tech, those in forestry, whatever field you are. And, the country is also open to a lot of immigrants, those who are coming through study, those who are coming through permanent residence. And I know oftentimes one of the reasons why people are looking for scholarship is also for migration purpose. And so even though you might not write that in your application, but also that's one of the perks of coming to study in Canada. That's through your education, you can decide to permanently reside in the country afterwards. I know there have been, if you are following the immigration policy of the country, there have been changes in recent time, but still, Canada is still welcoming lots of immigrants who are hoping to come to settle in Canada permanently. And coming through schooling is one of those ways to do that. Yeah, a lot of opportunities. There are different ethnic groups have their dominance in different cities. We have the Indians, we have the Asians from China and other places, but also the African community is starting to build up in most of the major cities. The Nigerian community are starting to build up. I believe in almost all the provinces, there will be a Nigerian association in each of the provinces. And we've had previously Nigerians who have been part of the government in some of the provinces as well. In Alberta, for instance, the former deputy premier was a Nigerian. And I know there are some other Nigerians in different place of authority in the different provinces as well. Yeah.
Wow, amazing. Thank you so very much, sir. I can see Tolulokpe's hand up. Do you still like to ask a question quickly?
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Sam, for that wonderful and educative section. Though my hand was up before, I actually dropped it because you've answered one of my questions. I just wanted to share that I applied for the MasterCard Foundation scholarship this September for data science because data science is also applicable in my project work in the monitoring and evaluation, but I'm yet to receive any response from them. So I was surprised when you said they've started reaching out to applicants about the application process and for them to proceed in applying to the school. But I just also want to ask, even if you do not qualify or we are not selected, will they also reach out to you so that you know your fate, whether you've been considered or not, because I'm here to receive any response.
Yeah, I think I saw on their website some days ago when I was preparing the slide, I went there and it says because of the volume of applicants, they will not be able to reach out. I can even pull that up now. They will not be able to reach out to those who do not move to the next stage. Just like I said previously, that scholarships today are becoming very, very competitive. And, now people are applying in the thousands. Even as at 2016, during my time, I would believe maybe 400 or so applied from across Africa. And just to know that this is not only Nigerians that are applying, it's, Africans that are applying, right? So even though oftentimes Nigerians will be the most number that apply because of our size as a country, but people are applying from Ghana. Looking at the profile of the people from last year, a lot of Ghanaians are there, which is good that, not every time Nigerians, my people in Ghana, who are, my brothers as well, are also, stepping up, following the footsteps of their big brother Nigerians. So it's a scholarship for everyone. For instance, during my cohort in 2016, 2017, 9 people were sponsored then, 5 were Nigerians, one from Ghana, one from Uganda, one from, what's this here? Ghana. And yeah, 2 other countries. So I'm on the page now, I can paste it on the group. It says, application for the fall 2025 intake are now closed. Due to high number of applications, only applicants selected to proceed to the next step will be contacted. If you are not contacted by November 22, 2024, then unfortunately your application did not proceed to the next step. So I believe that answers your question. I'm going to post that in the chat now. And just in general,
yeah, but I would like if you can share. I know a lot of things are considered, but in part of those application requirements, which of these part do you think we should focus more that this is is prioritized in the application process? Is it the recommendation letter? Is it your leadership, your story, the way you write, your impacts during the essay application? Which part do you think is actually more prioritized that can give you an edge?
Thank you. I think that's a really good question. There are some things you cannot change again. For instance, someone who already graduated from a bachelor's program, you got a 2-1, you got a 2-2, you got a first class. Like, you can't change that. You're already out of the school. So there's almost little you can do about that. But the other things you can change is you can, your leadership, maybe you volunteer more and do all those things more. But I think in the grand scheme of things, different people with different profiles we apply. But what differentiates is first the application itself, how it's packaged. What are you writing in those five questions that I shared? For instance, one of the ladies I was working with is this Nigerian woman who's done a lot of work in climate change advocacy in Nigeria, being featured on all these big platforms, and going to all these big conferences, UN conferences. I was working with her, and some of the things she was writing, I was like, oh, you have more than this. You are not putting these things in this application. Because I follow you. You reached out through Twitter. I've known her. I see the work you do. So I know that, why don't you include this? Why don't you include that? She did not think of including those things, even though she had it. And I was able to help, offer some guidance on these are the things you should be including. I think for her, in that case, she was focusing more on herself. Oh, I've been invited to speak at the UN on climate change. I've been invited to speak on the UN on agriculture. So, in the second question that I used as an example the other time, this is not just about yourself. You're not an island. You run an organization. I'm talking about this same lady now. Why don't you talk about how you've helped other young women to become leaders, how you've helped women in the community? Don't let everything center around you, because we are talking about leadership. You cannot be a leader as one person. We talk about leadership when there are other people that you are leading. So I told her to sort of, include those things of other groups that he's partnering with and not just center everything around herself. And I think that's one mistake that often made, that people are just saying, I have done this, I have done this. What about we? We did this. This was what I did as part of those groups. Recommendation letters are so important. And that's why I mentioned that, keep in touch with your, if you have good relationship with your project supervisor or any other professors that can write good things about you. Because if someone says, I'll write about you, and then they didn't show you what they wrote and wrote something negative, definitely it will impact on the application itself. And also, I mentioned that Mr. Awi wrote a recommendation for me then. It wasn't my professor. So that's, the type I used my professor and also used my volunteer, because I was volunteering with James Nation Builders as at that time. So I used both academic and also what we call professional references. Both were useful. So depending on what they were asking for then. Because if I was using example of, I help with doing cleanup, I help with doing this, those are the people who can testify, not my professor in the school. They will talk more about academic excellence and leadership and things like that. So I hope that was useful.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Adeyanju. As in, I really enjoyed your session. You were very, very, very explanatory. And so Ajarat is saying something about I don't understand what that means, but
I think
she
he's talking
says,
about
what if
having
we don't have
relationship with their professor. That's a difficult place to be. I always advise, even though on difficult occasions, if they are abusive or not cooperative, then you don't need to have relationship with those type of people. But Nigerian professors in general, they prove tough, but you can always find a way to maintain good relationship with them, because you need people to testify about your academic work at some point if you're applying for any of these scholarships. And so even if it's not your direct project supervisor, you've taken courses, if you are form relationship with those people who can write, because it's not just about knowing a professor, they must be able to say, Ajarat attended CSP 201 and he contributed in class, he did this, he did that. But if you know a professor, even another faculty who hasn't taught you anything, for them to write something about you might be difficult. But that doesn't mean it's not possible. You can always find ways to look for new relationships. If you volunteer, you can volunteer in a lab to build new relationship, and those people can then write an application for you. Aderonke or Lisa mentioned, how do you apply for application waiver? I know on the Career Drive group, they're always posting different application fee waivers that schools are releasing. For some schools, you can send them email to say, I don't have application fee, I'm from this country, blah, blah, blah. Some will give, some will not give, but also some give the codes out, especially US schools. I have seen that very often. US schools give code out. Sometimes some schools have some set days like 18 to 20 November. If you apply within these days, you will not pay application fee. So different schools like that, you just have to look for those schools. And in my case, I've seen Twitter being useful for that if you follow the right people on those platforms. Yeah.
Very true. So I can see Augustina still asking questions about our lecturers. So that's
really
just basically about yes, it is. That's just basically about relationship management. And honestly, if not lecturers, sometimes you, by the projects that you take on, can also build relationships with people that are professors in their own right too, that can also come instead. So sometimes you don't just look back at where you're coming from alone. How about, what you're doing now? If you're doing something impactful, there is a high chance that you'd meet people that would be at the level of your previous professors or even higher, that can also write some recommendation letters for you. So please let's not just box ourselves into the past. Also look around you right now. If you've been doing some impactful works, there are people around you that can, also write recommendation letters to that have gone way ahead in their career path. Mr. Adeyonju, you've been amazing. You've been amazing. Thank you so very much. And I think I have some reviews in the chat of people thanking you for what you've done. So please send in your appreciations to Mr. Adeyonju. Let him know that he has been heard and he's appreciated. So Mr. Gbenga is saying, thank you so much, so very much, Mr. Sam. This was highly expository and informative. Augustina said, I've learned so much from this webinar. Thank you so much, sir, for this.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry, sir.
Yeah, sorry.
Yes,
thank you so much, Falake. I just noticed that Abolade Victoria has got her hand up for a while. I don't know if it's a legacy or if we've taken a question. She might just be the last person we give the opportunity to, since we still have Dr. Adeyonju in the house.
Oh, okay, sir. Please, Dr. Adeyonju, you have the floor. So sorry about that. How I missed that. Please, you have the floor.
Victoria Abolade, do you want to ask a question? You've got your hand up. Go ahead, please.
Yes, thank you very much, sir. I want to appreciate you for being impactful and educating. I'm very grateful. Okay, on behalf of others, we are very grateful. But I have 2 questions to ask. So, class scholarship. Okay, let me use myself as an example. I graduated 2015. So if I'm trying to apply now, this time, because most scholarship, they will have a limit, like you must not have graduated more than 5 years, stuff like that. Is it applicable to this masterclass as well? Then another question I have is there a restriction in the course of study? Because I studied social work and community development, and I graduated from Traditional University of Education. So I'm looking at, because my course, most schools, because even presently, that particular course is no longer in my school because it's a specialized university. So those are my questions. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. The first question about year of graduation, I don't think that should be an issue. Yeah, definitely new people are graduating in 2023, we apply and things like that. I don't think that should be an issue. It's about what you write in your application between 2015 and 2024, 2025, like what have you been doing? That's like 10 years. Making that known to say maybe you've been running your own business or something like that. I don't think that would be a disadvantage. And I don't think I've seen that said. I can't remember. So, but definitely, just like you mentioned, there are some programs that say people can only apply from who graduated in the last 5 years. That also happens. But for Mastercard UBC, I don't think so. In terms of you did social work and things like that, sometimes the program you did in your bachelor's, there's opportunity to, when you're going to the master's level, to change a bit, and maybe not too much, but change a bit. For instance, this social work, if UBC was still doing the sponsoring, if Mastercard UBC was still sponsoring the education leadership program, I think you can still do some form of education programs with your social work. Or, there are several adjacent programs that might not have social work as the Masters of Social Work, or Master of Science in Social Work, but they have elements of social work included in them. They're social sciences. For instance, I did forestry and wood technology in FUTA, but now I'm doing PhD in forestry. But even though I'm based in the Faculty of Forestry, my work is more social sciences. So when I tell people I'm studying PhD in forestry, they think I know the name of every tree I see. I don't know, because I work with people. I do qualitative research. I'm talking to farmers. I'm talking to NGO people. I'm talking to government officials. I'm looking at politics and power. So my PhD could well fit into political science. I could as well be in the Department of Political Science, but because my prof is in Department of Forestry, that's where I am. So sometimes your program might not be in the typical place it would be. You just have to find the professors doing the work you do. A professor doing social work, you can maybe find them in psychology, for instance, even though their work is social work, but their faculty is psychology. So you just have to look for those people, I would say. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. The second question, is there a restriction, like course restriction? Like, is it compulsorily a science courses
Oh,
or
no.
social science or arts or any courses regardless?
No, there are no restrictions, but just like I mentioned for UBC, they are sponsoring people in forestry, agriculture, land and water science, and data science. That's what UBC is doing. I believe McGill is doing something different. I know they are doing some environmental courses, but maybe something different. Toronto as well. But I believe some of the MasterCard programs in the UK do almost all the program. You just have to select. I think those in Oxford and Cambridge and maybe Edinburgh open it up to whatever program you want. If you get the admission, then we'll fund you. So you just have to find those schools that open it up to all programs.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. God bless
Yeah.
you.
Amen. You too. Thank
All
you.
right. Wow. What a great evening we've had. For those of us in Nigeria, we want to say massive thank you to Dr. Samuel Adeyanju.
Doctor in view.
Doctor in view, but we're not going to stop there. From that to Professor Adeyanju very soon. I know we've had that conversation a couple of times, but we're eternally grateful. Thank you so much for sharing your experience, your insightful information with us tonight. We deeply appreciate it. I want to say massive thank you to our super host, Folake Bello. She's done an incredible job tonight, anchoring the webinar.
Yes.
So thank you so much, Folake. It's such a joy to have you in the house. And also to say thank you to every one of you for taking our time to join, and to the team for putting this together. Thank you so much. Looks like I'm not sure what will happen in December. We started this series with Sweden in May, and then we've had Sweden, we've done Poland, we've done Germany, we've done the UK, we've done the US, we've done which other country? And now Canada. I think we've taken about 7, 8 countries now, and I know we've got speakers who are ready to go for it again. We have speakers for Australia, for New Zealand, for some of the Netherlands. Some of that myself, I've studied in Netherlands, so I've got lots of networks in Netherlands. So we'll see what happens if we're able to have one more in December, or if not, maybe to another time. But we want to say thank you very much for everyone for taking out the time to join us. Please keep pushing. I mean, Samuel, there was something you said that really that was a key message for me. I like the fact that you talked about, the need for us to push. Don't sit down and just be hoping. Reach out. You reached out to a couple of professors, checking if they are funding, and you kept knocking on those doors until eventually, one opened up. And that's a lot of message to take home regarding resilience building. And there was something else you said that I think it's really key. It's a take home message for every one of us. Have a plan. You spoke about that. You said, sometimes we've seen a lot of people, they want a scholarship and they want it now. And if they don't get it now, they forget about it and they make conclusions that, oh, they're not giving it to me, or I'm not qualified for it. But you said something around people having a plan. Sometimes you might be in a position where you need the next 2 years to sort of go through some things, maybe have some volunteering experience, build up your profile, and then you're in a better place to then be able to apply. Certain things will not just jump on you if you haven't done the work, prior to now. And I just want to encourage everybody to take that message home. Get involved in doing something that puts you in a better position each time around, and don't feel disappointed if it doesn't happen right now. The next one might just be the opportunity for you. I would like to close the call at this point. So thank you to everyone once again. If you want to send a shout out or just clapping hands for Samuel, that would be fine. I want to say thank you. God bless you, and wish you the very best. I wish you a wonderful Christmas and a wonderful New Year as well. Keep submitting your applications and see you at the top. We're looking forward to hearing your testimonies when you finally land that opportunity. So don't forget to connect with us. If you cannot connect with us on WhatsApp, try to join the Telegram or just sign up for our newsletter, and then we'll be in touch with you again. Thank you once again. God bless you all. Cheers and bye.